bright and sunny morning here in Sofia, and we are up and out early because we are heading to one of the most popular tourist destinations and the most popular day trip from Sofia, and that is the Rila Monastery. It is a UNESCO World Heritage Site, and a fun fact is that here in Bulgaria there are actually around 10 UNESCO World Heritage Sites, so there is a lot of history. We are getting the Rila shuttle. We have to meet it at the Alexander Nevsky Church, and it takes about 2 hours to get there. We actually found this online and was able to book it direct.
This is how I'm going to start every day, I think, for at least the next month in Bulgaria. Takeaway cappuccino and banitsa. For all of this, it comes to about £1.50, €1.50, which is so cheap on the go. But we actually have to meet them at the Alexander Nevsky Cathedral, which is very easy. We wanted to rent a car, but it's like Easter weekend and it is a nightmare to rent a car. The only chance of renting it, we'd have to go to the airport, and for the sake of like 1 or 2 days, it is pointless. So we're doing the day trip ourselves with Rila shuttle without the guide, so it's about €20 each to get there and back. It makes sense. There's not really any public transport. You can get a local bus, but it's still like €14 or something, so this makes much more sense. How are you?
How are you?
I'm very well.
Good.
Pleasure to meet you. My name is Philip. I'll be your driver for today.
So we have met our driver from Rila Shuttle for the day, and it's just us, no minivan at the moment. But look at that, what a location to get picked up. So we are in the taxi today, and we've been told straight away, is this the clothes you're wearing? Apparently the monastery is up in the mountains, so we are definitely underdressed.
Back of the map you also have brief history of the place.
That's good.
And of course, at all times I can be bombarding you with history.
Amazing.
About 20 minutes away from the Rila Monastery, and we've just stopped in the town of Rila because it is stunning. All orange roofs, houses. It's a tiny little town, little village. You have the mountain shot behind me. We basically just stopped because the weather is absolutely gorgeous and you've got a great visibility of the mountains at the minute, which is really lucky. But this is so cool. Like, mainly what people do here is sort of farming, and it is tiny. Look, like this is pretty much the town or the village. But yeah, like I said, we have about 20 minutes until we get to the monastery.
And we have made it to the Rila Monastery. It's right, it's a little bit colder. Look, we are up in the mountains here, 1,300 meters above sea level, and we haven't even entered yet. And the complex, this place here, it looks incredible. The monastery itself is actually the biggest in all of Bulgaria, but is known to be one of the prettiest in the world. This is just like the gate, the building before it.
Remarkable. I actually have no words, and I am talking a bit quietly just because you aren't supposed to make too much noise in here, obviously because it is a monastery, but surrounding the monastery is sort of like apartments, I suppose you could say, for
monk apartments.
Monks, where the monks live, and there's also a postal service, a medical centre, a library, loads and loads of other things, because it's technically not classed as a town or a village. It's like a sort of like no man's land, if you like, but this is crazy. Can you see the different styling? Like, I've never seen one with black and white stripes around it. It's so cool.
We were told basically in Bulgaria you'll either be classed as a village or a city, but this Rila here is not. Like I say, it has its own post office, medical, has its own like small fire brigade, it has its own police system, security, and you've got all the monks that live here. But from photos did not do this place justice. I looked at it and I was like, really? #1 tourist site in all of Bulgaria? And then you come here and the colours are incredible. Like the fact that parts of this date back to the 10th century, and the stripes. You can really see why in some things it says it is the most beautiful monastery in the whole world. just appreciate the location of this place. You have got huge trees growing amongst it, and then right behind you have the Rila mountains. It is unbelievable. You can see the snow-topped mountains, and then you have like this protective wall. That is what basically it is classed as. The walls, it's all the way around the monastery, is like the protection here for the monastery.
We're also feeling very lucky because normally the Rila monastery is absolutely packed. Like, it can be so busy, especially we've come at 12 o'clock, you know, it's the main time normally for things to start, but due to the situation with not many tours going ahead, we do have it all to ourselves. Obviously not good for the businesses, but from a perspective that we can take in the monastery, it's a completely different way, and you get it all to yourself. And this is the outside square of the monastery, covered in frescoes that are just unbelievable, of these amazing colours. I can't tell you how bright and well preserved that they actually are. They sort of show everything. They show Judgment Day, Adam and Eve, the baptism of Jesus. Like, there's all stories, some in Cyrillic, so I don't actually know the details, but it is amazing. Like, the absolute colouring of it is great. But we're going to run in to the monastery now. I don't think you're allowed to film anything, no photos, nothing. We'll see. So we'll see. There's always a way. There's always a way.
Wow, that was incredible. There was no way that I was filming in there. There was someone watching. Even people with their phones were getting told off to put it away. But the frescoes in there, the gold plated like chandeliers, real gold in there as well. There's actually a story when the monastery was first developed back in the 10th century, because there were so many donations of gold. People would come over the years because they knew there was so much gold here. They would come and they would steal the gold. So robbers would come, they would destroy the monastery, parts of it are burnt down, just to steal the gold, because there's just such an abundance of it here, which is the case that most of these, like this, the actual monastery here, dates back to the 18th century, because obviously it's had to be redone time and time again. The only original standing thing here is the clock tower behind me. You think 10th century, you can go up it, but at the moment I'm not so sure. Yeah, the tower was unfortunately closed. There is also a museum, but museums are like too much history. I mean, wow. You come outside, look, you've got the river flowing behind me, and there's actually, is it 2 or 3 restaurants?
There's loads.
This is perfect. This is like the little town. It's not even a town, is it? This is, well, this is made for tourists, which obviously aren't here at the moment, but it's beautiful.
This is extremely unexpected. Like, obviously I knew that there may be souvenir shops, but I totally did not expect there to be an abundance of
town of
restaurants
and restaurants.
Bars. And a Bulgarian
I don't know if
store.
that's cheeky, but do you reckon they do beer?
You're allowed beer, right?
You are, yeah, we're outside, we've left the monastery, we've completely left.
Still within?
And I could tell you I could explain to them the full story of the monastery, because I forgot to explain while
Over
having a beer. Monastery. They have beer at the monastery. I'm not actually sure of the name of this restaurant, but you've got like 2 or 3 outside, as well as a 100-year-old bakery that we're definitely going to have to try for some lunch. But while drinking my Karmenica, nice and cold. It wasn't on the menu, so we asked the lady, "Do you have any?" And she was like, "Yeah, we have some." So I don't know how like regulated that is, whether you're allowed to drink a beer here, but we're drinking a beer. But I didn't explain the full story of Rila Monastery. Basically, in like the 10th century, so 1,000 years ago, St. Ivan of Rila, his parents died at a really young age, and he decided to become a monk. So he went up into the Rila mountains and he lived in a cave throughout his life as a monk. And then after his death, more and more people heard about it, started making donations, and they actually made a monastery that was like 5 kilometers up from here. Because of the location, it was near the cave, there was too many landslides, it didn't work. So it was moved to here in the 10th century, and like I said, there was loads and loads of donations of gold and things like that over the years, which led to a lot of robberies. But without St. Ivan of Rila, we would not be here today drinking a beer behind one of the most beautiful monasteries in the world, and just behind me are the Rila mountains. It's an unreal location.
Well, that was a very different experience, having a drink outside a monastery. They were 3 lev each, which wasn't too bad, slightly more expensive because it was bottled and you're in a very touristy place, but still very good. This is actually the 100-year-old bakery. You can see on the top there it says 1866. Actually it's more than that, but it's a very famous bakery. There is actually a small window. I'm not 100% sure if it's open or not. I might have a look, just because I think they're supposed to do one of the best mikitzas, which is what we had the other day, which is another breakfast thing here, but I'm not sure if it is open.
Thank you so much. Thank you. Take care. Bye-bye. We are back in Sofia. Unfortunately, the 100-year-old bakery was closed, so I'm now actually pretty hungry and ready for some dinner. But I'm going to call it a tour, right? It's meant to be just a shuttle, Rila shuttle. We'll link all the information below. Philip was amazing. It's not just a shuttle, it really is like having a guide the whole way there. We just need to stress that normally it will be done in a proper minivan. It won't be done in a taxi. It's done in a taxi because of the situation at the moment. But once all you lot get out here and go with Rila shuttle, you'll realise that there's a lot of you and you need a big minivan to get you there. But an amazing day. I'd actually recommend combining it with the 7 Rila lakes, which is basically at the peak, like at the top of the mountain above the monastery, but obviously we can't do that at the moment, being that top of it is covered in snow and you can't even see the lakes apparently from June. So it just shows how cold and how high up it is, that in June, pretty much summer, there is still snow everywhere.
We were so hungry that we've decided to stay out and we've come back to a restaurant at MoMA. If you just made the table jog then. If you have seen our Bulgarian food video, then you'll see that we came here and I think I've fallen in love with the food here. But this time I have Staroprava, not red wine, and rakia. And we've got similar dishes on its way, but I cannot wait. I'm honestly so hungry. So needed. You need some sort of hearty, fresh food.
Amazing, thank you. This is going to be so needed. I don't know why. I feel so tired after doing the day trip today.
After doing nothing.
After doing nothing, like they did it all for us. We're in a shuttle, but I am knackered. We have got the peppers burek, which we had the other day. If you haven't seen that video, make sure you check it out. We've got some sauteed potatoes, great. We've got the sami, which is basically, what was it I called it the other day? I said it was like the Bulgarian spring roll.
Yeah.
It's basically a grape leaf vine wrapped around like vegetables and rice. The peppers burek is great. It's like a deep fried roasted pepper, and obviously the potatoes. But I'm not going to explain all the food to you. If you want to see my comprehensive review, watch our last, was it our last? Yeah, watch our last Bulgarian video.
And that is food and beer drank and eaten. It was just as good as last time. As Matt said, if you want to check that out, please watch the full video because their food in there is amazing. I would highly recommend it. But what a great day we had. Totally unexpected, absolutely fantastic time at the Rila Monastery, and would definitely 100% recommend going with Rila Shuttle because they will have the minivans and you do have technically a tour guide giving you all the information. Philip was great, so I'll leave the details below. We have another exciting day trip tomorrow. It's just full-on trips in a minute because there is a lot to do from Sofia outside of the city centre. So stay tuned for that and we will see you in the next one.